All right, so welcome everyone again to our usual Sunday weekly webinar. I just want to say thank you to Jennifer, who has managed to extract the meditation from last week, and I've received it from her, so I will be sending it out as soon as I have a moment to do that, hopefully later this evening for me. So thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate that. Makes it a whole lot simpler than me trying to figure out how to do it. So it's the soul garden meditation that I'll be sending to all of you. Okay, well, let's get going. So, for those of you who I have spoken to this week, you will know, for me, it's been a very long week. I somehow managed to get an extra day. I know that there are only 7 days in the week. I had 8 because I thought that Tuesday was Wednesday. So I confused everyone. Because I kept arriving for appointments and sending out Zoom details for meetings, and no one knew what was going on, including me, until someone eventually said to me, "You do know that it is Wednesday, whatever the date was," and Tuesday, whatever the 1st or whatever it was, and I said, "No, actually, I thought it was Wednesday." So I don't know what happened to my Tuesday, but it became Wednesday. So it seemed, I certainly felt very strange the whole week, and there was a lot of spaciness and a feeling of just being not present and ungrounded. I left my daughter at school for 2 weeks because I misread 2 weeks. So thankfully not for 2 weeks, for 2 hours, because I misread a message. It really was. It really was a challenging week. So I am hoping that this week is going to be a little less all over the place, and I'm going to be a little bit more present to what I have scheduled in my day to day. I don't know how anyone else has been feeling. And also I chatted with Pam yesterday, and I was saying that my eyes, I've been wondering if I need to go and get my eyes retested, and I need new glasses because I can't see. Everything's blurry. So I was wondering if anyone else has been feeling that way. Pam mentioned that her eyes have also been feeling a little blurry. So I wondered if it was just a symptom of where we're at and the kind of shifting of timelines, because it certainly feels like that. It feels like there's a lot of crossing over of energy, and so being able to see our way forward, it's quite difficult. So it's good to see there are a few people. Fiona also had a rough week. A couple of other people were having difficulties with their eyes. Oh, Nancy also had a challenging week. Oh, good. So I don't need to book that eye test. It's been really weird. And feeling into the energy of this week, the focus, and someone's mentioned strange injuries. Yeah, I kind of wonder. I wonder about these strange injuries. A few of us have had some odd things happening over the last few weeks. And when I was preparing for today, the image I got was this feeling of being above the ground. And a friend of mine's 5-year-old daughter did a drawing for me, and which I got from her on I think it was Friday, which I absolutely loved. And she's 5. And it was me and her and our castle and our pet unicorn. So I really loved this drawing because she had drawn the 2 of us the same size. So neither one of us was bigger than the other. We were perfectly the same size. And what I did notice though is that she had really put my feet properly into the green grass. I was very, very much planted in that green grass. So I did take note of that little message and thought, that's something I need to focus on. And the image I got today was that feeling of needing to really bring the energies in and to be able to really ground myself and ground those energies. Because as we move through these timelines and shifting of timelines, there's a lot of stuff that is being released and cleared. It's almost like, I'm going to try and explain this as simply as I can, because sometimes it can feel quite complicated. It almost feels like we have these crossings of timelines, that they're moving like this all the time. And the reason that is happening is that we are collecting out of these different timelines things that we are needing to be able to move forward. So whether these are insights, wisdom that we have gained, potentials, possibilities, whatever it is, we're collecting these. And as we have collected what we need from one timeline, it shifts and moves out of the way. And so we're kind of moving through the stream of different energies. And that's why it can feel like we are so ungrounded. But the key really is to be grounded in this moment, because there are things that, and I think I wrote about it in one of my daily emails this week, in order to be able to take the step that we need to take moving forward, we need to be present, because it is in the present moment that step arrives. If we are ungrounded and floaty, we kind of don't find the step. It's a bit like balancing on a log. You've got to keep, your energy's moving all the time, and you're not able to kind of settle into the space where there is a solid space from which you can take that step forward. And it's important that we find that solid space within ourselves so that we can make those steps. Because the one step will appear, so the next one appears, so the next one appears. It's not like we're standing at the beginning of a trail and there are all these steps lined up in front of us and we just have to move. They only appear in the moment as required. And I think that as we shift through these timelines, collecting what it is that we're needing, we are able to gather the tools that we need for the step that we're stepping into. And what I'm noticing as well with a lot of people that I'm working with is that the information and the insights about what they are doing in their life and what they are going to be doing in their life moving forward, that insight and information is coming in very, very quickly. Now we need to be present so that we can be that container that enables that information and that insight to come in. If we are not present to that, it has nowhere to land because the container isn't there. So this is the space that we're moving into this week. It's like, really, how do we ground ourselves and be in the present moment? There are a couple of messages that I'm getting at the moment from everyone feeling a little bit ungrounded. And then a message from Nancy as well. I got called back to the hospital because they found a spot on your mammogram. Made you wait 4 days, but they couldn't find the spot. Well done. Cleared that one. Okay.
The radiologist even came in and ran the ultrasound himself on the last round because he's like, it's there, but now it's not.
Good. I love that. So maybe there was something, from a timeline that popped in and you cleared that timeline. So now it's gone. Don't need that lesson. And then the other Nancy, I feel like we really have to be conscious of what it is we want to bring with us in the new earth and what we want to create. exactly. You know, with regards to that as well, I think that we need to remember that our soul has a purpose and has a plan for what it is that we're creating. So we, you know, instead of thinking about it and imagining and visualizing it, it's more a case of being able to step into pure alignment with our soul, which then enables that purpose to unfold naturally for us. So we don't need to try and make it happen. It just automatically unfolds for us, and we're just stepping into it. And you know, that can be quite challenging for people that have excelled, I suppose, in the old world. You know, when you have a goal and you focus on that goal and you just go for it and you make it happen. So we are shifting out of that way of operating in the world and shifting into a more natural space. And one of the, interestingly enough, I was listening to another audiobook, which I can't remember, but I've finished the Caroline Myss one. I can tell you it is excellent, and I'm going to be listening to it again soon. But I'm listening to another one that I can't remember the name of right now. I've just started it, and it's about healing, and what they were saying is something around how we are needing to find a new way of balance within ourselves. And you know, I kind of sat with this idea of what is balance, and you know, when I'm looking into the energies of this week, there is this real need for balance. So that need to bring the energies in to ground ourselves in the present moment, but also in a very balanced space. And you know, looking at where we are currently with regards to the planetary experience that we are having right now, and the fact that there is this virus that is out there that is doing whatever it is doing. And you know, thinking into what does it mean to be in balance? I mean, it's one thing to be in balance within ourselves, but it's another thing to be in balance with the natural world. And if we look at the earth as an organism, anything within an organism that is out of balance is attacked to a certain degree because it needs to be removed. So we are living in a space right now where we are out of balance with nature, and we are needing to find a way to bring ourselves back into balance in the way that we can again reconnect to nature, reconnect to the natural world, to become part of the natural world again. So part of this rebalancing that is happening within ourselves is also this reconnection to the earth. And I think it's happened in a few of the meditations that we've done, is this need to ground within ourselves. So rather than grounding into the planet, we've been taught or shown how to ground within ourselves. My sense is, as we're moving forward now, is that we're needing to find a way to reintegrate ourselves back into the natural world to be able to ground back into the planet. There feels like there's an opening or a space for us to start to do that. So it's going to be interesting what meditation we're guided to do today, or what process we're guided to do today, because this theme of being able to ground the energies, to pull them in, it doesn't feel like it's grounding it within ourselves. It's kind of grounding back into the earth, back into the natural world. And perhaps the work that we have done to this point has allowed us to find a new level of balance that is allowing us to now make that connection again to the planet. Lorraine's just mentioned, oh, there are a few, Lynn, I felt all week that my soul is calling me to be totally complete with it, total confidence to be here now and have confidence and faith. I think that if we had to look at how far we've come just in the last few months, you know, the last 5 or 6 months, compared to where we were at the beginning of the year and compared to where we are now in regards to soul embodiment, I think that it's been quite dramatic progress that we've made. And as a result of that, I think there is this space that is opening for us to make that connection again to the planet. And from my sense, it's a soul connection that we're making to the planet. It's not a human connection we're making. We're shifting from that need to be solely human and into being the merging of our soul self and our human self, so that that aspect of us can be grounded here. And then Lorraine's mentioned, I keep focusing on flow, which I feel is part of that stepping into our plan process. Just let the alignments flow to you without thinking too hard about the details, being open to unexpected outcomes. Exactly. Yeah, that last bit about being open to unexpected outcomes, I think, is essential. You know, I don't think that we can conceive of the life that we are building and the life that we are creating and the way of living and being that we are stepping into, because it is not something that we have ever experienced before. Not as a human being and not as a soul. It is something completely different and completely new. And then learn, so that the humanized attachment becomes non-existent and we're totally free to do exactly what we came here to do with the planet. Yeah. And this can be challenging for some. You know, what I'm sensing and feeling is that whatever those attachments are that we still have are being really highlighted and becoming quite challenging. Those relationships are becoming really, really challenging. And it's not just relationships. I mean, it's you know, it's attachments to outcomes, it's attachments to ideas, it's attachments to the way that we thought our lives were going to play out, and now it's completely different. It's attachment to plans, it's attachment to things. You know, we're really having to move into that space where we don't have any attachment, where we can open with excitement to what is being presented. And I think that in the past, we're so used to, well, certainly for me, you know, I got used to living in a space where I was waiting for the rug to be pulled out from underneath me, that I would step into a space and I think this feels really good, but when, you know, when's the carpet gonna go? Because, you know, it felt like that. It felt like I'd just settle into something and think, oh, okay, I think I've got a handle on life now. I think I can do this. And the next minute, carpet's gone and I'm fallen over again. And I've got to scrabble around trying to pick myself up and figure out where I am now. And I think, you know, I certainly got used to that. That was the way that my life was going to play out. And actually, I don't think that that is the truth. I think that, you know, every time I stepped into a space of thinking, oh, this is it, it was, you know, that was a certain level of that I'd reached within myself, but it certainly wasn't it, whatever it is. And the interesting thing about continually living like that is it puts you into a space of heightened awareness. It also puts you into a space of being on alert all the time, which is exhausting. So you live in the space of fight or flight or freeze, because you are waiting for the next thing, the next disaster to happen. I remember going to see a functional medicine practitioner a few years ago, and she said to me, I just want to ask you, you know, a question. You know, if you had to step out of the front door now and there was a bear, how would you react? And I kind of said, I looked at her and I said, honestly. She said, yes. I said, oh, for God's sake, what now? Is how my response would be. Because I said to her, I'm so tired of the bears coming that I actually don't care anymore. The bear can take me. I'm over it. She said, and she explained to me that the state that my physical body was in as a result of all these bears that I dealt with in my lifetime. And this, you know, I then had to embark on a process of being able to calm my system down to enable me to get out of that state of being and out of that state, that way of living. And it's taken years. I can tell you, it's taken years, and it's a lot of self-talk about, you know, relaxing and being in the flow and being in the moment, and there's a lot of that goes on. But it is the space that we're moving into. And I think that each one of us at this point, with all these timelines shifting and all the uncertainty that we're in, we need to move into that space of looking at and asking ourselves the question of how prepared are we to experience a different way of being in the world? How prepared are we to open to a space that is exciting, that is joyful, that is positive, that is life affirming, and that enables us to thrive? I know that a few years ago I wasn't, because, you know, the bear arrived and I was like, oh, take me now. And we need to be in that space of saying, how open are you? Are there within you blocks created by that expectation that life is always going to be challenging, that life is always going to be hard, that things don't flow or don't go your way? Fiona, the more relaxed I'm becoming and letting it all happen, for some reason, the more exhausted I am. Why is that? Okay, good question. So the exhaustion is happening because when we finally relax, if you imagine a muscle that has been in contraction and tight, when it finally relaxes, it is painful. It is exhausted. The muscle is exhausted. And that's literally what our bodies have been doing for most of our lives. For most of us, we've been born into lives that have, as a friend and I were just chatting this morning, and I said, you know, we've been born into these lives, and we're still quite shocked at experiences that we've had. And we were talking about children, babies that are coming in now, and how aware and awake they are, and how you can just see they just know everything. And I said to her, yeah, but we were the dummies we came in, forgot everything, and spent our whole lives in shock at everything that we've experienced. And when you are in that state, everything within you contracts on a physical level. If we look at it just on a physical level, your body is contracting. The muscles are tense. You are waiting for the next thing that's going to hit you. So you're always in this kind of locked into the space of holding. And when you finally let go and you finally relax, the muscles are painful, and your body is exhausted. So rest, sleep. I mean, I had an afternoon nap last week that lasted 3 hours. It was fantastic. I haven't had a nap like that in a long time. And I still managed to go to bed that night and sleep and go to sleep without any problem, which is unusual. So, you know, allow yourself to be in that space of being exhausted. Don't push yourself. You know, take the rest. One of the things that you can do to support yourself in that exhaustion is up your vitamin B intake. I'm finding that you know, vitamin B is the one thing that our bodies are really needing right now, and protein. We really are needing protein. It's you know, we're in the building blocks phase of our new lives, so we're needing to support our bodies in what it's doing. And yeah, and Nancy, thank you. Thank and honor our bodies for the work it is doing. Very important now. I mean, the other thing is, you know, Fiona, just getting back to you, a lot of the work that you've been doing is bringing yourself, your soul back in. And that's quite exhausting as well. You know, it's like that part of you is landing, and sleep is fantastic for integration. You know, it does help us integrate. We don't really integrate when we're busy and we're rushing around, so it is important. A few people are having some good naps. Jennifer, we bought land and plan to move there. It would be such an amazing way to reconnect with the planet. Because of the pandemic, we cannot move forward with the plans. This is such a devastating struggle. Yet that land will still be there when you when you are able to go. So I think we also need to trust the limits that are being placed on us right now. You know, we don't know the circumstances of things right now. We have to trust that everything that is happening is divinely orchestrated and divinely planned, even if we don't understand why. You know, we question bad things happen. Why? But we can't see the bigger picture of why. We can't see the pieces of the puzzle that are being shifted and moved around, that are supporting where we're going and what we're going to be doing. So there must be some sort of reason why there's a delay in you moving at this time. And it's kind of just trust that when you do go, it's going to be the perfect time, and you will probably understand then why there's been this delay. Yeah, maybe just go with the timing, not the plan. That's a good one, Nancy.
Yeah.
And then Lynn, I was told this week that giving up all attachments to things was the ultimate sacrifice. Well, for me, I often think that attachments can be so limiting. Yeah, and from our human mind, we often can't conceive of what is possible because our mind works on what it already knows. Yeah, especially the attachment to outcomes. Yeah. Yeah, the mind is a it's a tool. It's a muscle. It's not the all-knowing part of ourselves that understands and knows everything. It takes in data and it operates from that space. It takes in information and operates with that. It doesn't actually have the ability to see beyond the structures of what it holds and what it contains. So when we listen to our minds and we take that as truth, we are limiting ourselves essentially. But when we step back from our mind and move into the space of our heart and enable us and allow ourselves to access the soul from that point, we step into that limitless space of potential. We step into the space of anything as possible. It doesn't mean that we will experience everything and anything. It just means that we step into that space of opening to what we don't know, to what we don't understand, to an outcome that we possibly couldn't have even fathomed because our mind has no concept of it. Lorraine, it removes a lot of stress for us when we can accept what happens as intentional for our plan. Trust that everything will be perfect in its perfect timing. Yeah. Lynn, or our attachment to being human. Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, we are in this massive shift where we are moving away from our lives and our world being operated from a mental perspective. And we're moving to our lives and our world being operated from a heart perspective. And the heart, if we look at the heart as the doorway to the soul, that's what we're accessing. We're opening our heart so that we can access our soul and we can live through that truth and that wisdom. And if we understand that from a soul perspective, there is no time. So everything that we are moving towards has already been created. It already exists. It is already there. It is already here. It's there. It's everywhere. And we're moving into that space of it. And it may not look exactly like our minds would have envisioned. And you know, that idea of just surrendering to that part of ourselves that actually knows best and knows better. It's like a weight of responsibility gets lifted. Of like, I don't have to work it all out. I don't have to figure it all out. I can just go with what is put in front of me, what comes, rather than trying to make it all happen. It's exhausting living that way. I mean, I'd far rather live an easier life that is just filled with flow and allowing that part of me to guide everything. There are a few things that I have kind of said no to, soul. We are not doing that ever again. Whatever that was, it's done. And I think it's also, you know, it can be so challenging. It can be challenging for us at this point because we have been conditioned to have a plan, to know what we're doing. I say to people most of the time, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. You know, I just hope that in the moment, as I step into it, I'm going to know exactly that bigger part of me, that soul part of me steps in and takes over and says, okay, we've got this. Because the human part of me doesn't know. And it can be challenging because how do we step forward into something we cannot see? How do we step forward into something that, you know, we've been taught to plan, to have a structure, to have goals? We have been taught that. And now we're having to chuck all of that learning out and say, okay, well, now we just got to wing it. Now we just got to go with the flow, see what happens and see where we land up. But I think that what we need to remember is that if we try and put goals in place at this time, if we try and have some form of structure at this time, we are going to limit ourselves. And because we limit ourselves, we're going to come up against challenges that are unnecessary. We're going to be coming up against barriers that are unnecessary. We've had enough challenge. We don't need any more. So if we allow those structures to be very fluid, obviously, you know, and this week was really challenging for me because I do have a diary and I have appointments and I have people who are paying to have an appointment with me, and I can't be messing up diary appointments and messing people around and confusing everyone. I mean, it's for me, it's unprofessional and it's really irritating for me, and I don't like to do that to others. And so, you know, I kind of sat with it this week and thought, well, you know, how do I feel like this? And at the same time, manage my time, because there is time that it exists in my diary. Like, how do I work through all of this? And I realized that it's more about planning and making space for the times where I can just be all floaty. So I'm looking at how do I structure my life in a way that there is space for me to be, you know, go and sit on the beach and stare at the ocean without panicking about, well, I've only got half an hour to do this because I've got to get back because I've got an appointment. It's more a case of how do I structure time in my lives that I allow that space of openness and I suppose connection with that expanded space. And I think that that's also what we're moving into, and that brings in a whole new thing that we need to discuss, which is happening on the 9th of September, is Mars, which is the planet of action, is going retrograde. And it's going retrograde until November, which means that there are a number of things that are going to come up for all of us collectively and individually. So, and as I said that, my lamp just fell over. Interesting. There goes Mars. So I'm just trying to remember. So Mars in retrograde will use the energy that currently exists. So it's going to use the energy that currently exists in the collective right now, as well as the energy that exists within all of us. So as it goes retrograde, it does, to some degree, make us look at the action that has been taken in the last 6 months of this year. So if we look at the things that have happened in this year, those things are going to come up again to be reworked, to be looked at. So it can be things like we've had riots, we've had the whole Black Lives Matter thing come up. We've had gender-based violence here in South Africa. That's been the theme that's come up, gender-based violence, and there are a lot of protests around that. There's corruption. There are lies and truth that are emerging. So if we look at everything that has happened in the last 6 months, it's almost like there's a wave that moves through all of that stuff again. So we can expect that stuff is going to start to rise up in our world. So I'm just preparing you for that. We have the American elections coming up, and that is going, that wave is going and it's reaching its peak at the elections. So that is going to have an impact. It's going to have an impact on the American people, and it's going to have an impact on the world at large. So it's important that you become aware of this, that it's going to be happening. And then if we look at ourselves, the energy is going to move and ask us to look at the structures that we have in our lives, whether they actually work for us or don't work for us. It's now time to kind of get real. Like, how do we live our lives? We need to look at the structures that we have within our lives. Do they serve us? Do they serve expansion, or do they limit us? So if we can start to look at those things, we can actively make changes in the structure of our lives that facilitate an expanded space, an expanded movement forward. We also are going to be looking at our life purpose, what it is that we're doing. What do we need to change in ourselves and in our lives that aligns us more fully with our purpose and what it is that we're doing in the world? What are the changes that we need to be made? And a lot of the times, those sort of changes we don't make because we think, but this still works for me, and I don't really understand what I'm being asked to do. And it's really the next few months is giving us this opportunity to really focus on the structure of our lives and what it is that we are doing and how we are doing it. For me, it almost feels like getting rid of the distractions that keep us from what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And we have plenty of those distractions. I mean, all of us can come up with excuses as to why we're not doing what we should be doing. Whether that is, I haven't got time, I haven't got money, there are plenty of excuses as to why we don't do what we know we should be doing. And it is time to actually let all of those excuses go and to focus on, okay, I need to get real. I need to streamline my life. I need to get rid of the distractions so that my focus is clear and direct, not all over the place. So it's also about, when we do that, we bring our energy back. We bring our energy back into this moment, and we're able to direct ourselves forward with all of our energy here. When our energy is scattered in these different distractions, it's very difficult to move forward. It's like we're pulling, I don't know, I keep getting this image of strings that are attached to these massive boulders, and we're moving forward, pulling all of these boulders with us, but the boulders are just the distractions. We need to drop the ropes, pull that energy back to here, and then we can move forward in a very easy way. Yeah, so Linda, now instead of stepping forward, we can step with what is possible and relax into it. Yeah. And I think also when we let go of the distractions, then we can see clearly. We can actually see this is what is here. This is what I am left with when I have no distractions. I've got more time. I've probably got more money. I have more energy. All these excuses that we possibly are making for why we can't do certain things are no longer relevant. So Mars is really going to support us in that process. So if we work with Mars retrograde, if we work with the energy of Mars retrograde, we will achieve a huge amount in the next few months. And we're moving towards the end of the year. December for me is always a very, very powerful month energetically. We have a solstice that happens in December. We've got Christmas. Even if you are not Christian and you don't celebrate those holidays, the fact is that there is this massive shift with the solstice that all happens at that time of Christmas. And I'm always amazed that Christmas is at that time, because there's a lot of heightened emotional energy that is triggered during that solstice time, and then families come together. Like, that doesn't make sense, because most Christmases for everyone are challenging at best. Nancy. Jim Self explained what our purpose is. We are the light and love of Creator, reflecting back to Creator all that Creator is. This feels delicious to me, and I feel the more present we are, the more we can be inspired to create and grow in the moment. Like that. And there are a couple of big planetary movements that are happening towards the end of the year as well. So, this Mars retrograde is giving us the opportunity to be ready for that too, to be ready for the shifts that come around the solstice. And also to be able to stand strong and to be stable within the turmoil that exists within the collective. I kind of work, in the midst of our very deep lockdown. I think, there was this period of feeling like, oh, well, this is as bad as it's going to get. But actually, I think that coming out of lockdown, it's a lot more challenging, because people are really being faced with the consequences of what happened in lockdown. We were going through stuff in lockdown. Now the consequences of what we went through is emerging. And just got the image of a lighthouse. Nancy, I'll get your question in a minute. But the other thing that I'd like to share with you as well is that I was given a vision, I don't know, 16, 17 years ago, when I, in one of my moments of deep frustration with the universe and God and everything in it, and kind of saying, what am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what you're asking of me. I felt like I was stumbling around in the dark trying to find a light switch. And I kind of said, please just show me what it is that I need to be doing. And of course, I was given this vision. I had absolutely no idea what it meant. I kind of looked at it and went, I have no idea what that is. And the message I got was, well, that's what you are needing to create. It doesn't exist yet. And I thought, well, I still haven't got a clue. But in amongst that vision that I was shown, I was shown and told that there are all these lights that exist around the world, and that they are flickering, and they're doing their best to shine brightly and to illuminate what needs to be illuminated. But when we are just these flickering lights every now and then, it's very difficult to make the changes that need to be made. And that actually we need to come together and work together to create a force of light and love that is able to move through the world without challenge. And the other day I suddenly realized that this is it. This is what we're creating together, is that we're combining the light that we have and bringing it together to create a force that will enable each one of us to move through this world a lot less challenged than we have been in the past. And I think that as we move into this retrograde, Mars retrograde period, it's important that you remember that you remember that you are connected now to a force of light, that it's not just your own light that you're working with. You're now connected to a force of light, and to hold that as you move forward, because things are tough, and I can't imagine that it's all suddenly going to just suddenly become easy. The world is in the throes of a massive transformation, and as a result of that, there is a lot of things that need to collapse in order for the new to emerge. And this, this collapse has been happening for many, many years now. And we're, my sense is we're at the end of it. But the end of it can often be the darkest time. That's that good old saying of it's always darkest before the dawn. We're at that point. So Nancy's question, do you think that there will be a resurgence of the virus? I'm not sure if there's going to be a resurgence of the virus. I think that my feeling, if I feel into that, is that there are a lot of there are going to be a lot of physical challenges that we're faced with. I think that if we look at how physically out of balance we are with the earth, with the natural world, that imbalance is going to manifest in all of it is manifesting in us. I think for those that are not finding a way to rebalance themselves, I think that there's going to be illness, whether that is this virus, Pat, it's never left and it doesn't seem to be in a hurry to go. I also don't think that there are these waves like people talk about. I think it is just this presence that kind of permeates through the collective. I also feel that there are a lot of people that have been waiting for this time so that they can cross over. I mean, my grandmother passed yesterday at the ripe old age of 96. And I feel like she's been hanging on. She was sick in January with pneumonia, and we all thought, okay, it's she's going. She got better. And this she died of old age. There was no virus, there was no illness, there was no nothing. It was just time for her to go. And I feel like there's, that's where we're at. We're at this point where a lot of people are going to transition, that they cannot make the move into a new reality because their purpose was to get to this point. And I just keep having the sense of like, we've got to get over this fear of death. People have got to die. We cannot live forever. We're not supposed to live forever. And some people are going to use the virus as a means to take them out. Other people are going to find other ways. We have a predetermined destiny when it comes to when we die. There are these points of saying this is when it's going to happen, and when we can allow ourselves to let go of the fear around that, that's only when we can actually start to embrace our lives and live it to the fullest. Because if we have this fear of death, then we, that's always limiting us. That's always holding us back. Yeah, death is a graduation. We need to learn to celebrate it. Yeah, I agree. And I know I've mentioned Zach Bush before. He's that American doctor, and there's that YouTube video where he's interviewed by, I think his name is Del Bigtree, and literally the last 10 minutes of that video, he is incredible how he explains death. And it is just so beautiful. Zach Bush is his name. And the interview is the one that he did. He was interviewed by Del Bigtree. I think you can just go onto YouTube and look for Del Bigtree and look for his interview with Zach Bush. Just those last 10 minutes are incredible. And in fact, I mean, the whole video is incredible. He talks about viruses and why viruses are necessary. It's just amazing. And he's a medical doctor. He's studied for 17 years. He immersed himself in a lot of different areas and worked in palliative care and in ICU for a long time. So he has some experience with helping people to die. And look, I think that with regards to the virus, I think it is realistic to accept the fact that all of us are going to get it at some point. I think it's pretty naive to assume that we're not. But I think that what we need to be doing is making sure that when we, thanks Jennifer. Jennifer's given a link if anyone wants to copy that link. I think it's important that we focus on strengthening ourselves from a physical perspective and bring ourselves back into balance, because when we do get the virus, we don't get as sick as the people who are dying. Shelley, the false narrative that continues to decimate the skewed numbers of virus deaths. Yeah, I mean, there was something last week about the CDC adjusting the numbers of COVID deaths, and it was ridiculous how much they dropped in America. It was quite radical. Yeah, and I think that if we look at what has this virus done, it's highlighted the fear that people carry. The fear that we need to let go of, this attachment to life we need to let go of. Oh, there's a long message. Lorraine, adding to your comments about adding light. Light workers are working across the world to strengthen the light and shine it brightly into the world so that truth and true love can be seen clearly. Many things that we are told are love, we are seeing are not. Many things that we've been told are lies are actually truth and good. People are finding this truth in all this chaos. Lies versus truth are becoming clearer. Many surprises ahead. We just need to trust in the flow of that process that is necessary to move us into our new lives here. I mean, I think it's also important to remember that The collective chaos is happening. The collapse of the world is happening. Whether we engage with it or not, it is happening. Our purpose is not to facilitate the collapse. Our purpose is to facilitate the birth of the new. So we need to remember that that's where our energy needs to be. We don't need to be turning around and looking at the world burning behind us. We need to be looking forward at the world that is being built in front of us. So, you know, it's I guess be aware of what's happening, because I think it's sensible to know. You know, I'm not a kind of person that doesn't read the news. I read the news. I listen to the news. I feel what is truth for me, what feels right. I feel what is bullshit and let it go. But I think that we need to know collectively what is going on. I also, certainly for my work, I need to be aware of what's going on globally, because I have people that come and see me with real challenges that are being created by the chaos in the world. So I need to know what is happening. But I don't think that we need to get sucked into it and for that to become our focus, because it's not. What is happening behind us and how that world is burning and being blown up, let it. It's not where our energy needs to be. Our energy needs to be focused on what is in front of us. And that means as well for, you know, for your individual lives, be aware of what is happening on a collective level, be aware of what is happening on a global level, but really make sure that your attention and your focus is on your life. What came to me when the virus first came out was that it was to expose and remove fear. Yeah. Pat. Also forced to be with ourselves without the normal distractions, getting to know me. Yeah, I thought it was that, you know, it was a fantastic pause button. And maybe it was that line between that's the old and this is the new. You know, it offered us that border, that barrier, or that boundary between the old and the new. Nancy, it has also opened our eyes to the great imbalances we have in our old and outdated systems, and choose a new way with integrity, kindness, and love that works for all. Yeah, Lorraine, great way to say that. Yeah, I do get a lot of information from other people around the conspiracies that are out there, and I listen and kind of take what feels right. But at the same time, there's always this part of me that thinks, well, that's not really my purpose. My purpose is not really to expose people, or to expose corruption, or to expose the lies. My purpose is to build the light, really. And I feel like as a collective, that is all of us. That's what we're doing. Yeah, Pat, totally agree. When we expose, we're giving it energy. Yeah, and I don't want to keep my energy in the old world. I need to put my energy into the new one. So as we move into this time where Mars goes retrograde, please remember that. You know, remember where you need to keep your focus. As things are exposed, you know, make a note of it, but move on. Don't let yourself get sucked into the fear and the drama and that just distracts us and takes our energy, and we need our energy here now. I like that, Pat. I try to remember when stuff comes up, I get to say bye-bye. Exactly. And also, you know, if you see things circling around, old situations, old things emerging, things kind of circling around to now that you feel, I've already dealt with this. Why am I being faced with this now? Just remember that there could be some energy of yours that is still locked into that situation. Just pull that energy back and let it go on its way. It might not mean that you need to fully engage in the drama of it. All right. Okay, well, maybe we can move into doing some meditating, see where we're taken and what we are shown today. So allow yourself to move into a comfy space. Is anyone else feeling stiff and sore and achy and yeah, there are a few. Glad it's not just me. Wake up feeling very old. Okay, so when you're ready, just closing your eyes and take your awareness down to your breath. And allow yourself to feel into your body. Allow yourself to settle into your body. And using your breath to let go of any tension, any pressure. Any tightness. Just allow yourself to relax into this moment and to let go. Just feel what it feels like to surrender into the moment, to be present, to be fully here. And as you surrender into the moment, allow your mind to still. And your thoughts to calm. Bring yourself into a state of peace. Let your shoulders drop. Relaxing your jaw. And deepening your breath. And just allow yourself to become aware of the connection that you have to your head and to your heart. Connection that you have to your spirit and to your body. And allow yourself to connect to the energy of your soul, the essence of your soul. And allow yourself to feel how this essence permeates your entire body and being. Feel it in the tips of your fingers and the soles of your feet. Perhaps you can feel it as a subtle energy gently pulsing through your body. Perhaps you can see it as a color that moves and dances in and around you. Allow yourself to feel how this essence is anchored in your heart. And as you open and expand your heart center, you allow the essence of your soul to expand into your body, into your being, and into your life. And now, in your mind's eye, see yourself sitting on the top of a mountain. You can feel the rock beneath you. And you can feel the wind as it blows around you. And you allow your energy to be anchored to this rock. And you look up and you look out at the view of nature that lies before you. You see the mountains and the trees, the rivers and the valleys, the blue sky, and the sun that shines its light. You can sense and feel the animals that roam freely and the birds that fly high in the sky. And you allow yourself to connect to nature in this way. You allow your energy to expand outwards, to connect to the rocks and the trees and the mountains and the rivers, the animals and the birds. And with this connection, you feel your energy expanding. And you feel yourself becoming one with nature. One with all of life. And you feel the pulse of life that moves through you. This pulse that is the heartbeat of the Earth Mother. And you feel your heart begin to beat in rhythm with her heart. It's like the beating of the drum that is calling you home. You feel yourself merging with the earth. And slowly you draw your awareness to your own form, becoming aware of a shift that is occurring in you. as you reconnect to the earth. And you allow yourself to become aware of the mountaintop again that you are sitting on. Observing the beauty of nature that surrounds you. And you can feel the love and the support and the energy that is shared with you when you connect with nature. When you reinstall yourself in the web of life. And maintaining your connection that you have established now to nature and to the earth. Draw your awareness back into this time and into this space. And breathe yourself back into your body. Feeling your fingers and your toes. And opening your eyes when you're ready. Thanks, Nancy. So apparently that's the new way of grounding. I hope you all felt that. Certainly felt very powerful for me. My legs have gone numb, so I think I'm still coming back. Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Shelley. Thanks, Lorraine. Thanks, everyone. As always, it's been great. I hope you have all a good week. Yeah, and as I said, Mercury goes retrograde on the 9th, so it'll be the start. At least we have a heads up. Thanks, Nancy. Yeah, my grandmother lived in Canada, so my father's family is all in Canadian and living there. So unfortunately, I can't be with them. Thanks, everyone. All right, so I will see you all next week. Thanks, Michelle. Have a fantastic week, everyone. See you soon.